the third grade is our first cohort. So as the second grade teacher mentioned, that we started the first grade and kindergarten at the same time 3 years ago. So now they're third grade. So before I introduce the Chinese literature, just a little background, what type of curriculum we are using. I know for the second grade and third grade, the major shift between the Chinese literature, language art, and the kindergarten and first grade is we currently using called primary Chinese, which is adopted by the Singapore National Chinese. So it's very solid and long tested, very solid material we're using. So that has been enough to set. Of course, we always focus on the 4 different areas of the language development. First one is listening. By third grade, we're not only expecting the instructional language, they can reply back in Chinese and social language between themselves and between me and them, but also just from the text, from the content. If they read the Chinese, can they really comprehend? Can they really listen a story? And if I ask them a question, can they pull the information and to answer those questions? So that's major shifts between first and second and third. Now, for the speaking part, of course, they will respond to me in Chinese. And this year, I start to see the true emergence start happening in many children. What that means is that they start the Chinese sentence and they don't know certain words, they mix in English. Yeah, and so it's cute. They come to me, they say, 苗老师怎么写哒哒哒哒哒. So, 苗老师怎么说哒哒哒哒哒. So you can tell they're thinking, and also the other thing is, when they saw Mrs. Ryder, they switched to English. So when they saw me, then they speak in Chinese. So they know the difference. So don't be surprised if your children do not speak Chinese to you. And for the other speaker is, for third grade, we have speech. Like by now we finish on number 5. And so what we try to accomplish here is not only the presentation skills. Can they really take a topic and start talking in Chinese? And can they conversing? And can they go to be functional, like go to restaurant to order food, and go shopping, negotiate the price, or pick up something? So really, we try to build up those endurance. So far, you already see we scheduled a Chinatown trip. So before the trip, a lot of groundwork had been laid, like how to order food, how to negotiate, how to ask certain things in Chinese. That's the presentation part, and also the other thing is, can they really self-correct? When they're speaking, I know all of you know the Chinese is the speaking part based on 4 tones. The tone is everything. And so I'm pretty big on the speaking part, like I'm not saying speaking perfectly, but attentively. Really, are you conscious about the 4 tones? So I don't want them to go outside and speak Chinglish. Really want them to speak a pretty good Chinese. So that's one thing also I try to stress. And for the reading part, of course, by now they already learned some basic pinyin skills from second grade. So can they use their pinyin skills if we have a book with pinyin? Can they read it? And not just read the pinyin, but also relate the pinyin to the character. And afterwards, if I remove the pinyin, can they still read it? That's the goal. So for the reading part, really we build up 2 skills. One is the pinyin reading skills, and also the character reading skills. And you heard the previous grade levels, like they know basic characters, 60 of them, 80 of them, 100 of them. So by third grade, they probably know about 300 or 400, really, if you put a heart to it. Now, if they constantly review it, then 300, 400 will be very fresh to them. But I found this year is a little bit challenging for some children. They look at this character, they look at that character, they all look the same. So how can we keep this, like the character from this point? We're going to enlarge probably by 200 characters per grade level. So how can we keep them, this volume, keep on going? It really is is a challenge, and I cannot stress enough for like a sight word. So if you have those sight word list, please go home and draw them. Really, not just they can read it, can they write it? Because that's really the writing piece. And so not only produce the short phrases and the sentences, we try to align the writing piece with our district curriculum, which is give them a prompt, regular prompt, and they reproduce the writing independently. And currently we focus like 3 paragraphs, and each paragraph has 7 to 10 sentences, and give them a prompt. And we start to give the prompt writing like 30 minutes. So can they produce 150 character, really solid articles and writings in Chinese? So we have to build that endurance. So that's the writing piece. For the cultural piece, besides the celebrations for the holidays, the other piece is the Chinese customers. What of eating in China, the seating is a big part, and who pays money, who pays the bill is a big part too. And the other thing is that the other day we just learned the McDonald's in China is very different than McDonald's in US. So can kids really see why it is causing so different? There's a culture right back there. So those are the cultural awareness really the kids start to have to bring and to truly learn in their life. So for science, we really divide the units. So far we have done 2. Yeah, Mrs. Ryder have done.
I did space. Yeah.
Yeah. We only have 1 left. Is force and motions. Yeah.
And social studies also thrown in 3rd grade too. So we have, she's actually Mary's going to be teaching then Chinese, which will be very interesting because it's the government and that type of stuff. So
yeah, so it's a big shift for 3rd grade. Is our curriculum shift. Is the first half year I taught math and mainly focus on computations and multiplication, division, like strategies. And after the first quarter, we shift the math to English side, and I bring in the social study and the science piece.
Yeah. So, as Mary said, I mean, it's a huge year in 3rd grade because of the transition, and luckily this meeting's happening after, and we kind of get to make you guys aware of what's been happening, and it's kind of crazy because we had talked about, we're so limited on time. And then we switch it, and math, our literacy block, which in a typical 3rd grade classroom, you're talking about 2.5 hours for literacy, and you only have really an hour when it's all said and done. So it's so important. I think the big thing is that support at home, and luckily we've had that, and it's just making sure that your kids can read a ton at home and write in their free write journals or whatever it is that your teacher assigns, because it's, that time, we don't necessarily have that in the classroom as much as we would like. But the great thing is that now they're learning more comprehension skills in Chinese. So it's, it's pretty cool to see the transition for them, because I can slow down a little bit because Mary's picking up more of that comprehension in Chinese, which is pretty cool to see for them. The reading independently at a level P by the end of 3rd grade, as Heather pretty much set this up for me, but it's very, as they read, it's not just fluency, it's very deep thinking now. And it's a lot slower. They're only going through 3 levels during 3rd grade. It's to slow down, take your time, and make those, really focus on those inferencing skills. Go beyond the text, that stated part of it. Finding the evidence, which is you're going to hear that over and over and over again. Find the evidence in the text that proves what you're thinking. So that's our big focus in 3rd grade. And then they're able to read at least for 40 minutes at length. We don't get that in the classroom anymore. I had my kids who are doing opinion writing right now. One of their opinion pieces was that they want to read more in the classroom. And it's so hard, as a teacher, you're like, I can't, it's hard to say no to that, but, giving them that time at home would be, it's fabulous. They should be able to read for 40 minutes straight. They're trying to convince me to do a full day of reading. reading. So, which is a great thing, but you know, we don't have that time. We're lucky if we get 25 minutes in a day to read while we're doing our reading groups and stuff. So, and basically, can they respond to the text and answer questions using evidence, just like I had stated before, both orally and written. The written part is a big part of that. A lot of people can verbally tell you, but they're not able to put it in their writing. So that's a big focus for us in 3rd grade. Oh, don't restart. And then for writing, as Heather said, you know, writing's a big part of this 3rd grade piece. You know, unfortunately, we don't have a ton of time for it, but we're trying to hit it hard. And writing independently for 45 minutes, you know, can they do that? And we're still working on that because it is hard for them to sit for 45 minutes. They'll rush through something and say, I'm done, you know, and it's just like, go back, you know, go through the process. The writing process is a big, big part of it. You know, can they sit and edit and revise on their own? Do they need, you know, a teacher's help? So then writing on a topic with fluency. Using correct punctuation and spelling. At this point, most of the students are at that point, which is great. Sometimes they need reminders, but that's part of the revision and the editing on their own. Writing multiple paragraphs on a topic with supporting evidence. It's kind of crazy because we talk about how it happens in 2nd grade, it happens in 3rd grade, and it happens in every classroom. But you know, once they move from 2nd to 3rd grade, they forget about paragraphs. You know, so you're having to remind them, and even going through that revision process, you have to constantly remind them. So if they're writing at home, you know, make sure they're doing that because that's what we expect in the classroom. So, you know, you see them, sit them down. I don't think Mrs. Ryder would, you know, let's look at this. I know you're supposed to be writing in paragraphs, you know, indenting. They should be writing at least 5 paragraphs by now. So I think just, you know, the transition this year has been fabulous. I think the big piece of 3rd grade is the fact that they now get to talk about the math and English, and I'm seeing that strengthen. And I know at home sometimes it's really hard to get that homework, and they're like, I don't know, you know, I don't know how to explain it to you. But as I remember sitting in 1st grade in our conferences, and Mary kept telling the parents, make sure you talk about the problems with them at home. That's something that's so important because I'm seeing it now in 3rd grade. It's sometimes hard for them to use their language to explain their thinking. And I know if some of you guys have gone to the Math in Focus, you know, parent nights and stuff like that, they're gonna say a lot of it is, you know, I'm not gonna tell you it's the right answer. Tell me your thinking. How did you get it? What happened? Let's talk this out. And, you know, for them, when they first came to me, they're like, oh, I know the answer. Okay, I don't care about the answer. Tell me what you were thinking. And get them to do that at home. Really have them, you know, talk to you about how they got the problem, okay? Because that is so important. It's going to make us, you know, make the transition in 3rd grade a lot easier and a lot smoother. I think that could be a huge help for us. So, do you want to add anything to the math part or
Math?
Yeah, or anything?
And just because we come from 1st grade, and just what we see is that the computations of like 1st grade, we need to mastering additions and subtractions in 2nd grade, and the multiplications and divisions by 3rd. Really, mental math is no longer like using your fingers. Like 5 plus 8, can you spell out? Really, it's just fast. And of course, there is a concept behind it. Can you make 10? Can you? Those are the number sense we get to learn in the classroom. But then the fluencies we see sometimes at the 3rd grade is slowed down is because that piece, the computation piece. So if a lower grade, you can help the kids get a fluency going in math, will make the transition much easier. And same as the Chinese, I know for 2nd grade and 3rd grade, we have an online piece called 学了, which is provided free from the primary Chinese. If you can go on there, just listen to them. Listen to that 10 minutes a day, make huge difference. So I know we ask a lot.
Sorry.
I'm so sorry. And you're so supportive, and you're so connected to the program, and we just want to see the kids, you know, be successful, and we already saw that. And every day I remind the kids, those kids are so special. They are so special. They going to be made a huge difference